Hi everyone. Welcome to Psychology and Spirituality, a Bridge to Better Life discussion. As you know, our weekly episodes, we're here to explore this intersection between spirituality and psychology, and as a result, really learn a little bit in through our conversations, how our flights of fancy go so that we can capture perhaps some wisdom from both fields. My name is Marcia Trajano, and with me today is Luiz Lima. Hi, Luiz. How you doing?
Hi, Marcy. I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me today. And oh my God, it's got to be something to talk about. You know, oh my God. When,
Yes,
when, when we go into a program like this, a lot of the audience, people in the audience, they need to understand we learn too. We're not here to give you what
yes,
it is. No, we
yes.
learn too. So
Yeah.
thanks so much.
Yeah, and I'm going to say I'm inviting you, Louise, and everybody here with us today to get into this deeper reflection. And the reflection is something that is very tangible. It's very close to all of us, which is our body. So, Louise, I wanted to say, for us to just frame our thought processes. What is this body really? Is it just a vehicle, right, that we are temporarily inhabiting, or maybe something far greater? That's my assumption, right? This sacred expression of the divine intelligence, or something that is really part of a spiritual, that has a spiritual purpose. So for us, it's really, for me, I'm just going to say for me, let's think about how this engineering marvel, this body that we all have, are not only a part of biology, but it's really of spirit. And I just wanted to know, right? What can we talk about? So let's go ahead and get started. What do you think? What are your reflections, Louise, about the life, death, and this amazing system, the body, that carries us between one and the other dimension?
Well, Marcia, throughout the years, by talking to people and doing lectures in different places, one thing that we perceive throughout the years is there's a tremendous, I would say, difficulty in people to understand the difference between life and death, the concepts of life and death within Spiritism and outside Spiritism, because they're not the same and they're radically different. So I
Yeah,
think it's a good starting point that we can probably set the record straight here, if you will.
please.
So, for example, life for the average outside Spiritism,
Uh-huh.
for the average person in a society, whatever society it is, we're talking about humanity here.
Yeah.
It can mean different things. There's not a common sense of when is the starting point. And that creates trouble with things that are related to the point where life begins, like abortion and so, which is another discussion. But why is that so complicated? Because there's not a clear definition of when life starts.
Yeah.
The same way, death is the same thing. There's not a
Mhm.
clear definition of when life ends. So should I, disconnect the equipment that, holds the person alive in a hospital? Should I not?
Yeah.
Is the person still living? Is a in a vegetative state? Why is that? Because there are no clear definitions. Okay,
Yeah. It's a good point,
spiritism.
right?
Yeah,
If we're giving a catalog or a mathematical precision, just a mathematically precise point to say this is when it starts, this is when it ends, then those even moral discussions that you're bringing to us, right? The birth, uh, abortion, and death.
euthanasia.
Yeah, euthanasia, all of it, it could be easier because then we would not grapple with a
Exactly.
very moral, ethical dilemma that we have. But despite that, tell us, what can you tell us about this definitions of life in death,
Yeah, the
Luis?
definition of life and death, both of them in Spiritism, is very clear cut, black and
Yeah.
white.
Okay.
Uh, at conception is when life starts. So just imagine the egg, the woman's egg, and the
Yeah.
sperm outside.
Hmm.
So of course, one sperm is gonna come into the egg from the outer membrane of the egg into the center of the egg. It takes 4 minutes. So it's a
Hmm.
journey that takes 4 minutes. When it reaches the center, the two protoplasms are gonna melt. They're gonna be combined. They're gonna bond together. That process takes 15 minutes.
Hmm.
During those 15 minutes is when the incarnating spirit links over to that first still to be cell. So when
So
the
there's a moment of like the I would say this is poetic. The spark of life
sparkle,
happens. Yeah,
exactly,
where there's a connection between the forming body and the spirit that will truly inhabit that body.
and not, as of that point, the spirit is responsible from taking it over. So I'll
Mhm.
take it from here, kind of thing. So it's a very clear definition. So is that after this, after that? It's black and white.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the definition of death,
Yeah.
we don't use the word death because death is complicated.
Let's call it, let me say this, physical death. We're talking about physical death. But
Physical
go
death.
ahead and do your definitions. But for throughout our talk today, I want us to really think this is the this body will die, therefore it's a physical death. But go on. I'm really excited to hear from you.
Yeah, from the scientific point of view, it has to do with the brain. When the
Yeah.
encephalus dies, that's it. That's considered, the end of life for all purposes.
Yeah.
However, how about people who die? They Everybody's ready to put out to sign the death certificate. Then a person wakes up and says, "Oh, I saw you. You're the surgeon. I saw you doing this and that, and I saw the nurses talking about this and that." Right? Near death
Yeah.
experience. So
Yes.
how come? So that definition of death not necessarily applies. So if it does not apply to one single person, it doesn't apply for anyone.
Absolutely.
So it becomes questionable. Spiritism gives us a very clear answer of when life ends.
Hmm.
Is when the same connection, initial connection at birth, that connection disappear at the
Yeah.
last moment, at the last moment. So the spirit retracts, like it disconnects from the body. There's a disengagement, disconnection. That's it. That is the moment of life according to spiritism. So because it's very clear, things like we discussed, abortion, euthanasia, and so they're not really a problem in spiritism. So those definitions are different from the average definition that we are used to in our daily
Yeah.
lives with
And I
different.
would say basically those definitions are blurry if we contextualize in Western thought, which is by and large not one that believes in reincarnation, right? Number one. But number two, it's very materialistic and does not even conceive of the notion of a soul, of a spirit, right? In many cases. So I think that's why it's so difficult for us to move on. May I just say something before
Yeah,
we keep on our conversation, if you don't mind, Louise?
sure.
Because what comes to our mind is that the only sure thing we have in life is death, right? That's the only, if we could call it fatality, could be the title of our of our episode today, the fatality of death. And despite the fact that that's the one thing that we perhaps could spend all of our lives preparing for it because it's the a sure thing. I would like us not to focus on the distress, the grief, the loss, the lamentation, the sadness, depression over dying, but let's take perhaps our next 30 minutes or so to really go through this sort of celebration, Louise, of this extraordinary design of each and every one of our bodies, the human
Hmm.
body,
Hmm.
and quite frankly, not just human, right? The life itself, but let's
Yeah.
focus today on the human body, which is this instrument of spiritual evolution.
Mhm.
And this body that I'm touching here, my shoulders, my arms, right? This body is sustained, oh my goodness, by this intricate systems, and it's all with the purpose of being the sacred vehicle of the soul, right? And it's this journey that we talked a lot, Louise, in our previous podcast on the journey. It's a term that Gustav Jung talks a lot, right? And Joanna DeAngelis also brings that subject, that the journey of individuation, but also the journey of spiritual growth, evolvement, and return to God. But the question for you then, if death is not the enemy, if we could call it perhaps a check, an evolutionary checkpoint, right? What can we talk about this body's physiology? What can you tell everyone here about the how amazing it is?
It is amazing, but let me tell you this: the body has two components.
Okay.
There's a physical component, but there's a moral component too.
Yeah.
Morality is expressed in our bodies. So, for example, somebody who is, envy is something meaningful for somebody. So, a person is
Uh-huh.
very envious of anything.
Yeah.
You see, that's a reality for that person that needs to be worked on, and the body lives that somehow.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
body will live our vices, envy, pride, selfishness, whatever.
I call that the emotional landscape, that we could call
Exactly.
it negative or positive, depending on your in your barometer of what is your moral compass, not your barometer, but your moral compass, right? This is good or bad, negative, positive. But within that very intricate landscape, you could talk about in the moment of like not just disgust, but anger. Um, ire, right? I'm irate over something. I
Mhm.
become that reality, right? Or my reality becomes the emotion. But go
Yeah.
ahead. I interrupted you. My apologies.
No, no, exactly, and that happens at the cell level. Believe it or not,
Hmm.
each
Hmm.
each cell, as it does through. It's too long for explaining details, but every cell goes through metabolism. We have 70 trillion cells, 70 trillion to 100 trillion cells in between.
Uh-huh.
Every cell does metabolism. In the metabolism, the state of mind is red from above, right? Is
Yeah.
red, and it becomes part of the metabolism. So the energy that the cell metabolism puts out contains that state of mind. So if I'm angry at something for say 3 hours, all the metabolism of all my 70 trillion cells had the same output, energy that is compatible with anger.
Yes.
Is
Yes.
it good for my body? Does it do anything for to the body of the person who I'm angry at? No. I can be
Yeah.
angry at you, and my 70 trillion cells are suffering, and yours are not. It's
I
not
know.
because of that. They're suffering because of what you do yourself. So it's contained in our bodies first.
Yeah.
So that goes with what you're saying. The body is a lot more than just this physical body.
Yeah.
No, there's a
Yeah.
lot more to it. It brings our spiritual history with it.
Yes, I read somewhere that our in our physiology, if we talk about this, again, this amazing feat of engineering, I read there's 190,000 kilometers of veins, which is like
It's a lot.
what? It's uh, how does it fit in this? I'm very short, Louise, but you know me. But I'm very, very. No, it doesn't fit. 190,000 kilometers, or basically, what can you say? By half would be 45 to 50,000 miles of veins.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
is just an improbability in our minds. But then, if you talk about, I don't know, the heart, the all the intricate electric system that makes the heart at what? 20 days of the baby, the heart is already
yeah, yeah.
beating, right? And this beautiful symphony of our nervous systems and endocrine systems. So I think I mentioned to you, Louise, that I'm reading this book, The Spiritual Intelligence.
Hmm.
Did I tell you? I don't know if I told you or not, but it's amazing. It reminded me of you and some of your discussions on the brain and the brain works, because it's all about the interconnectedness between the IQ, EQ, and SQ for spiritual quotient of intelligence.
Yeah.
And the book spends half of it talking about the brain, right? The neurons and how it all works. So very, very, very interesting. But in any case, right?
No,
This,
let me just add
yeah,
this. I think the
yes,
first person to actually bring this out
yeah,
many years ago was Dana Zohar. She was the
that's
one
her.
who
That's
brought
her.
it.
That's her book. That's her book.
And she has a
Yeah,
phrase that I
yeah,
consider absolutely interesting for today's discussion.
yeah.
I'm just going to read the phrase because I don't want to make a
Please.
mistake. So it's so important. The phrase is this. She's talking about death and all of that from the scientific point of view.
Yeah.
So this is what she says: the definition of death only applies to the organic material life, in the sense of there is no death as a synonym to destruction.
Ah, beautiful.
So the atoms will, the electrons and protons and neutrons, they will recombine, but there is no destruction in terms of it was never created. Like
Yeah,
you can
which goes
erase.
by yeah, sorry, but it goes in line with the law of transformation by
Exactly.
um what is the name? Oh my goodness. Lavoisier is the
Was
chemist. I think he was
everything transforms.
from Belgium, right? That he
Yeah.
talks about in life, nothing is created, nothing is destroyed. It's all a part of transformation. But go ahead.
Including death.
Including death. Tell us about Dana Zohar. What else does she say?
No, I think it's just she's a scientist originally.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
When she wrote this in 30 years ago or so, she
Hmm.
got, she got looked at from the other colleagues like this. What is
Yeah.
she saying here? It
Yeah.
don't fit well. Today
Yeah.
she's a great, acclaimed all over the world, but she had the courage to say, prove to me that this is not true. That
Yeah.
when life dies, our cells, our body, our physical body, those 70 trillion cells never, ever, ever existed. Those atoms never existed. Of
Yeah.
course, you can't prove that. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's one of the difficult, difficult difficulties, I would say,
Yeah.
from of science to define life and death. It's
Yeah.
very complicated.
It goes back to that need for definition, right? This
Mhm.
is awesome. The is are you referencing the same book by Dana Zohar or something else?
No, it's a book called the Quantum Self.
The Quantum
The
Self.
Quantum
Oh my
Self. Yes,
goodness.
this book here.
I need to read that now. Because I am really enthralled by this one that I'm reading, and it's just so good. But anyways, back to our conversation about death. I wanted to know, maybe if we're talking about there's no death or different definition of death, but maybe what we can talk perhaps a little bit is this body for many, including spiritualists, spiritists, etc., um, they're considered a prison, right? And to me, I'm saying that no, Louise and everyone, no, this body is actually a temple. So if we think in terms of, I don't know, from a philosophical perspective, why could we say it is more than that perishable, even though Dana Zohar says, no, it doesn't perish. But anyways, it doesn't disappear, right?
Mhm.
It transforms itself. But
Mhm.
is it fair to say it is sacred despite of all the transformation that it goes through with the physical death? And I'm going to quote here. I would like to hear from you, but I want to quote maybe or reference, not quote, the fact that from Aristotle, right? So several centuries prior to Jesus Christ, 2,000 years ago, right? So from
Mhm.
Aristotle to Thomas Aquinas, we've seen this reference to the body as a container, right? And it contained, I'm sorry, not seen as a container, but as an expression of our soul. And Spiritism aligns with that quite well, right? It is this, I would say, this sublime sanctuary that is the expression of our own life, life in the spirit, life in the spirit, in the flesh, and it's just so amazing because it takes so much. If we think about the amazing feat of engineering, right? It takes so much for us to be here today,
Yeah.
and some of us treat it as garbage. I don't know. That's how I feel. Eating, not eating well, not sleeping enough, not exercising, not stimulating, not using not just the body, but the entire incarnation. This one time that we are now, as with this persona that we inhabit, and really using that as the catapult for our transcendence. Any thoughts on that? This idea that the body is not a prison, but a temple for us to
It's a
take
temple.
together.
That's why it's sacred. Is our
Yeah.
way of expressing. And you were saying something interesting. A lot of
Mm,
things had to happen for us to be here today. Not on this conversation, to be here alive today, having a life today on
yeah,
Earth. A
yeah.
lot of things happened, including having previous incarnations.
Yeah. Tell me more about it because I think
Because if we didn't
it's
have,
a good input to talk about that. Let's just reference before I give back to you, give back the mic back to you. But if we believe, that's the first thing. If we believe in reincarnation, right, which I do,
Mhm.
you believe that I am here reincarnated, meaning I had another corporeal existence, a physical existence. My my life is one, right, Louise? We have
Right.
one life and many existences. Um, and if I am here today, I am expressing not just the incredible design and planning that leads me to be here today, including this body, but also everything else before us. But go ahead, take it away.
No, I think we can be we can define in a few words. We can say that
Hmm.
the body,
Hmm.
uh, on the body that we have, we
Yeah,
imprint our seal of conduct. That's it. We print our imprint our seal of conduct on our body. We did the same thing for a past life, for 2 lives ago, three
yeah,
lives ago. The seal of conduct is not the same for every life because we get better, we
yeah,
evolve, we grow spiritually. So the seal of conduct for this life is a little more elaborate and better shaped than
yeah,
the previous life. So, but that's what the body is there for. It's like if you go to a writer and say, listen, I know you're a great writer. Can you write 2 pages about life? The
yeah.
first thing he's going to say is, in the old days, please, he would say, I need paper and pencil. Not anymore, right? He doesn't apply.
No.
But those are the sacred things
Yeah,
that he needs to express what he's going to express. In our lives, we do the same. That's why the body is considered the sacred element within
Hmm.
the concept of life, because it is on that element
Yeah,
that we imprint our seal of conduct. And
yeah.
that's why there are no two bodies the same,
Ah.
including twins.
And it's so amazing. And I have to just reference back to Carl Gustav Jung, right? When he talks about this journey toward individuation, and everyone, including myself, Louise, we're not talking about individualism. We're not talking about self-centeredness. We're not talking about me. But we are talking about me, capital M in this case, which is that spiritual growth that only me, this spirit, will go through, and my current small me, my Marcia, at this point, will be a contributor to that long, quite long journey to individuation. Right? Does this make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah, it does. And you see, the contributions that we make to our bodies and to our
Yeah.
life, they come from our experiences across, all the opportunities that
Yeah.
we had before. And that's why we should, make the best of each life. So we
I
get out
know.
of this life
Yeah.
and going
Yeah.
to the next one, starting from a higher point,
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
just cycling back to, oh, I came from here, I'm going to go back here. It wouldn't even make sense. It would be a waste. So
Yeah.
we need to kind of detach from the material world because of that. So we don't go back to the same things that
And
we're
it's an
familiar with.
exercise, right? This
It's an
sense
exercise.
of
Yeah.
detaching from a material experience, material outcome, while not isolating from that, right? Because we there's a reason for all this work for us to be here. But back to death, Louise, I just wanted to remind everyone, Allan Kardec, in the foundational book of Spiritism, the Spirit's book, question 149, he asked, right? The question was, what becomes of the soul after death? And the answer, Louise, is it becomes a spirit again, meaning it was never not a spirit, right?
Right.
Because earlier in the book, he references or defines soul as the spirit that is incarnate, meaning it's in the material life, living the material life. So he
It
says,
never disappeared.
yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't change, right? But he says it becomes a spirit again, returning to the world of spirits it left temporarily, meaning that's our real home. So for us here with this conversation, right? Death is not the end. Death,
Mhm.
physical death is not the end, but it's almost like a reinstatement of the spirit in its own real broader reality as the spirit that it is. I
Death
almost
is
say,
a point of reference to us.
yeah,
Spirit is a
yeah,
point of reference. That's all it is.
yes,
Nothing else.
yes. But can we talk about
Now, yeah, let me
maybe?
just
Yeah,
pick up
go
from where you
ahead.
left. So you were
Yeah,
talking about the soul never dies. So that's why we
yeah,
say the spirit is immortal, right? That it
yes,
comes from
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Now, if you think about it, right, you cannot destroy the spirit
I love. I
because
think I know where you're going, and I love it already. Go
yeah,
ahead.
because in order for you to destroy something, that something has to have a form,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
physical form,
yeah,
formed of atoms or electrons or cells, whatever it is. You cannot destroy what doesn't have material principle in
yeah,
it.
yeah,
The
yeah,
spirit, the soul does not have a material principle in it. It's
yeah,
purely spiritual principle. So
yeah,
there's nothing material in it. So it cannot be destroyed. Thus, it is immortal.
yeah, yeah. And to me, the maybe the analogy that comes to my mind is like a seed, right?
Yeah.
and I'm thinking I love mangoes. So mangoes, for anybody who does not know, is like a good mango. Maybe it's like my two hands come together that big, with a seed that is most of it, right, Louise? And that seed maybe like my maybe a little bit smaller, but it can be the size of my closed hand. It must crack open. It must destroy the outer body of the seed so that it can get its full potential as a tree, right? And I keep thinking this is maybe the cracking of the seed of that shell itself is our body, right? It has to
Yeah.
crack so that our spirit, can blossom again as in our real dimension, which is our own home of a spiritual dimension, right?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking here, but if we keep talking about it, I'm just wondering, could we maybe go in a sideline here, Louise, and talk a little about if we talk in the immortality of the soul, and that the life continues, but the true life is not in the material dimension. Could we perhaps talk a little bit about the notion you mentioned earlier, the being angry, right? So
Mhm.
maybe, Louise, you are my enemy. Just joking here. I love you to death, but you are my enemy. But can we say, philosophically speaking, again, if this is really not what I am, are my enemies what is outside, people that hurt me, or is it really myself when I'm going against all there is? I'm fighting what it is that I'm here to do. I don't know. Just a thought.
Now,
What can
I
you
like
talk
to
about?
associate this
Yeah,
just think of a war in the Middle Ages, right?
yeah,
What is a war in the Middle Ages? You have a field, right? And you
yeah,
have a bunch of soldiers over here, all lined up,
yeah,
and you have a bunch of
yeah,
soldiers over here, all lined up. Why are they there at that time and date? Because there was an agreement. We're going to
yeah,
be there, you go there, we fight, and we see who wins. That's what it is.
yeah.
Now, so when you go to a war like that, the enemy is on the other side of the field, clearly. You
Yes,
have to go
yes,
there and kill it.
yeah,
So it takes place in a battlefield. It takes place on a previously agreed on battlefield.
yeah.
When it gets to us personally,
Ah,
the
it gets
enemy is not
hard,
the
right?
persons. The enemy is not the person.
Yeah,
The enemy is what that person brings in me that changes me temporarily. For
yeah,
example, every time, let's say you, right? Every
yeah,
time you walk in, oh, she has a nice car, and so I never had a. So there's envy in there. So when
yeah,
you walk in, now I'm full of envy that I wasn't 2 minutes ago when I was talking to my friends, laughing and talking
yeah.
about stories. So Marcia now enters the room, and I completely change. So the
My
enemy is
7 trillion plus cells
yeah,
becomes immersed in envy, huh?
the enemy is not you. You are not the one I have to destroy.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
enemy is anger. The enemy is envy.
yeah,
The enemy is selfishness. How do
yeah,
I defeat these? Think about the war. I
yeah,
have to go to the battlefield. So the person that we call the enemy is in reality the battlefield. That
yeah,
is where I go to defy to destroy the enemy. In order for me to destroy envy, envy has to come up
yeah,
first, and then I will fight against it.
yeah.
How do I get envy to come up? Oh, Marcia is a good person. She comes around me. I'm all envy myself. So what do?
Uh,
We get away from people. No, Marcia is going to. I was invited to this party, but Marcia is going, so I'm not going. I'm busy.
yeah.
I
Oh,
created the idea of being busy because I don't want to be by you because
yeah,
I don't feel good enough.
It triggers
Yeah,
stuff,
it
right?
triggers. In reality, what I should do is, Marcia, can you give me your schedule? Because I want to be by you as much as I can. Because I need to defeat this thing. I want to go to the battlefield as many times as possible in this lifetime.
I love the concept.
And
Let
Jesus
us
teaches,
let us
right?
invite all of our enemies because they are
Right.
what we project from within onto them, right?
And we avoid them.
Yeah,
We avoid the
yeah,
people that
yeah.
we have to deal with.
So as we project this, the what you call the things that need to be worked on into the battlefield, onto our external enemies, right? We are projecting what's
Mhm,
inside that is, we can say it's a source of suffering somehow.
mhm.
How does that hinder my spiritual evolution? Can you maybe talk about, because when you're talking about this, and I love it, by the way, Louise, that you said, let me be close to the other, the
Mhm,
one that triggers whatever it is that you need
mhm,
to fight against. Carl Gustav Jung, he brings the concept of the shadow that is very much that, right? The
mhm,
shadow is a, a container, if you will, of all the rejected parts of the self.
mhm,
So instead of us embracing all those difficult parts, we really don't know how to integrate them, but we project and we externalize them as our enemies.
mhm.
So one of the things that I read from Joanna DeAngelis is that she says that the greatest dangers lie within, right? Moral
Oh, yeah.
imperfections left over from primal stages, which goes back to what you're saying. You can only talk about today and the body, but now we're talking about life or experience, corporal existence, when we reference past ones, right?
Mhm.
How can we maybe talk a little bit about those things that are hard for us to accept, to integrate? Therefore, even if I don't do that consciously, I just project onto the other, and I see those projected parts of me as the embodiment of my enemy.
Yeah, yeah, we could consider that this is our response to something that didn't take place yet.
Uh-huh.
First, we respond, and then we wait for the attack, which
Yeah.
is absurd. But
Yeah.
we are so, concentrated and focused on, oh my God, I was invited to this party. Marcia is going. I already have all my behavior preset.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
minute you walk in and you say, hi, Louise, I'm going to turn my head and you
Yeah.
understand? I
Yeah.
have a preset
Yeah.
behavior
Yeah.
because of what could happen. That
Yeah.
by itself prevents us from getting better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I already chose the enemy in the battlefield,
Yeah.
but I'm not fighting. You see, I have to go in to fight. When I taking the example that I gave you,
Yeah.
Marcia, every time she's around, it's a problem. So I want to get closer to you because
Yeah.
I want to fight on that, but I have to fight on that. It is
Yeah.
of no point me going back to you and say, "Yeah, you see, I told you she's like that," because that's what the problem is. So
Yeah.
I'm here now. You're by me, and I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
let me see what's not bad here first. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, no, no, that you see,
It-
it's us. It's our initiative. We if we portray the idea of being a victim, we are gonna be victim.
yeah.
I
Oh,
gotta
and,
take
and
responsibility.
yeah, and you're about to say something about Jesus, right? Because and Joseph Campbell brilliantly, as the theologian that for the first time brought not what is different from religions, but what is similar to all religions. And he brought forth the one single most revolutionary contribution that Jesus brought to humanity, which was love thy enemy,
Mhm.
right? But I think you're about to say something and I interrupted you. Can you
Yeah,
maybe go
yeah,
back to what you're
he
thinking?
was very clear on that. He said,
Yeah,
reconcile with your adversary before it's too late.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It can't be any more clear than that.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, it's a straight, striking phrase.
yeah, yeah,
So go to the battlefield. Do not avoid the people.
yeah,
You feel this discomfort when
yeah.
around them. Go to the battlefield.
I
That's what
love
he's
it. I
saying.
love it. You have no idea how much this was important to me. And in the same vein of thought process here, Louise, I'm wondering if we're going to, go to the battlefield, and when we go to the battlefield, and when you talked about the medieval battlefield, of course, immediately, I don't know if you're aware of the tapestry of Bayeux, right, in France. And it's very medieval, right? I think it was created in the 1200s. Uh,
Mhm.
and it's just so beautiful, so amazing. But anyways, I'm thinking that that's my visual cue here, the Bayeux tapestry, and everybody, all the soldiers, but they are carrying instruments in the battlefield. So what kind, now moving to us, what kind of spiritual strength do we need when we are going to the battlefield and face our own enemies, our own internal shadows? What do you think we could help me
Yeah,
be better prepared?
I think we need to loosen the idea that is so firm that I'm like this and I'm gonna be like this. That's
Mhm.
problem number one. So
What do
once
you mean
I
by that?
decide to go to
Yeah.
the battlefield,
Mm.
there's a reason behind it. So I have to stick to that reason. First of all, I have to understand what that reason is.
Okay.
Just didn't come up because of something. No, because I want to get better. I want to be better. I have a
Yeah.
problem with envy. She's a good person to be around to help me with that. You're my helper. You're not my enemy.
Yeah.
Well, you might not know. You see, a lot of people, we don't like people. They don't know we don't like them. When we go 30 years of our life, say, no, that person, oh, no, no, because 30 years ago he said this, she said this. No, 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 no. It's a no, no person. 30
Yeah.
years. And then one day you come across that person and say, oh, remember that 30 years? No, I don't. What happened? And then you go like, I've
I've
been
been
suffering
holding on
for
to
30
the
years. I
resentment,
never went to the
right?
battlefield.
Yeah. Yeah.
Person has been waiting for me for 30 years. I never went to the battlefield. What happens when one of the parties doesn't go to the battlefield? He
Yeah.
loses the battle.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
time I avoid you, I'm losing to envy.
Interesting. I
And it
love
goes
that.
like that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see? So we have to have this uh, 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 idea of performance, I would say. This
Mhm.
is going to be my performance. I'm going to be there. It's not going to be easy. I'm going to feel what I feel when she's around. But there's a way. And I'm going to find a way. If I go there to
Mhm.
focus on the problem,
Yeah.
it's going to be a problem, not a problem. So
Yeah.
we need to loosen our mind around this idea that
Yeah.
she's the enemy.
Yeah.
She's not the enemy. She's not the enemy.
Yeah, yeah, love it. I love it. So, um, our, battlefields, plural, right? Our adversaries could be, I don't know, arrogance, right? I keep thinking, Louise, those are all um
Oh,
over built, overemphasized egoic constructs, right?
mhm,
Arrogance,
mhm.
sense of superiority, resentment, which you mentioned,
Yeah,
the 30 years of resentment, or even
exactly.
several addictions could be the battlefield. I need to, and we see that easier than those feelings, right? I can say, oh my gosh, let's pretend here i'm uh, I'm a smoker. I don't smoke, right? But I'm a smoker, and smoking is my addiction.
Mhm.
And I've seen way too many people going through decades fighting losing or winning, but fighting that addiction. So it's easier, but there's some things that is so hard to determine, right? For example, you mentioned envy, you can mention hatred, but I can say resentment is more pervasive and harder to understand, right? Why do I always feel that about this person? And there's all those things that as we mentioned before, it could have come from a different lifetime, right? And by that I mean a different incarnation. And so, even though I cannot pinpoint, but I feel, therefore, if you feel it, go to the battlefield. I
What's the
love it.
benefit? You see, you're
Yeah,
talking about resentment, which is really complicated.
yeah, yeah,
First, let's say there's something about resentment
yeah,
on my part towards you.
yeah,
You might not know what it is. I
yeah,
might not know what it is. However, I don't think we can easily do this at all. But
yeah,
can you
yeah,
imagine if one day I go to you and say, Listen, let's talk about here. We don't talk very much. I want to tell you something. I'm opening my heart to you here. Every time I think of you, every time there's resentment in here.
yeah, yeah. You can
So you
feel that.
remember something.
That's
Can you
yeah,
tell me something? And you need to help me. This is my cry for help. Resentment
yeah,
is a cry for help. All
yeah,
vices are.
yeah,
So if we go to the person, right, and work together with that person, I'm going to the battlefield to destroy my vice, my
yeah,
resentment, and something. But if I don't do it, I'm losing the battle every time the battlefield is set. I'm losing it. And I keep going and going, go to the next life and next life and next life. It becomes a snowball sometimes.
yeah, yeah,
Down the road, something really huge, when the snowball gets out of control, it can lead to depression and suicide. So, which is a different animal, but you know, it starts like this. It starts with a little thing here that was not taken care of
yeah.
when I had the opportunities to, and I missed them.
Yeah, no, this is interesting. Louise, do you have any final thoughts that you want to just wrap it all up for this talk of ours before we close?
Yeah, if we, for example, if we look into Jesus,
Yeah.
I want to be like Jesus. Yeah, but it's not going to be tomorrow morning. It's too
Yeah.
far. It's too far. So there's got to
He's a
be
great
somebody in
model, but
between.
he's a
Yeah,
great model, right? But it's a bit hard to be Jesus. But go ahead, please.
let's try to get somebody in between. So maybe Gandhi, maybe Chico Xavier,
Yeah.
but it's possible. We are seeing that it's possible.
Yeah.
We just want this in a snap of fingers. It's not going to help. So if we live our lives, if we live our lives up to what we can be instead of up to what we are, that's already a step ahead.
Yes. Yes.
You see, so I have this thing tomorrow. Let's go back to the party, you and me. So
Yeah.
tomorrow I was invited to this party. Oh my God, she's gonna be there. You see, this is not helping me. I'm living to where I am. I'm living up to what I am. If I want to live up to what I can be, I'm going to say, she's going to be there. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. I'm just going to say hello like this, and we're
Yeah.
going to be okay. That's living up to what I can be.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
hopeful about myself. So I
Yeah.
think that's what we should do and never leave the battlefield. You know,
Yes, yes. I want to say I really enjoyed our conversation, Louise.
that was great.
I do hope you come back.
Cool.
Lovely. And if you are here today, right, you may say "Well, they talked a lot. What did they talk about?" Well, we started discussing about how the body, our bodies, all of us is not just a container, a machine, a vessel, but this sublime sanctuary, right? It is
Mhm.
a
Yes.
sacred vehicle of the spirit on its evolutionary journey. So there's a function, there's a purpose, and we need to take good care of it. We also do some quite interesting reflections, including the definitions of birth and death, right? And some maybe um, paradoxical components or lack of precision into those definitions from a spiritual perspective versus a material perspective. But we also got some interesting inputs from Dana Zohar. I love that you brought her, and I'm reading a book by her. Love it. But my main conclusion is for me, for you, Louise, and for all of us is how true spiritual awareness transforms our relationship with life, with suffering, and death. And as such, we are here, all of us, invited to fight in the battlefield of whatever it is that we're bringing with us so that we can indeed transform those relationships. But before we go, Louise, I want to just bring a couple of questions for us
Sure.
to no need to answer, just for us to keep with ourselves, right? First one may be, what does it mean to honor the body, our body, as a divine instrument of growth, right? Another question may be, why is self knowledge so important and they're critical, essential even for our process of individuation, right? Embracing, integrating all parts of who we are, but most important, healing those components of certain wounds that are just keep coming incarnation after incarnation after incarnation.
Yeah.
And finally, my last question would be, how can we all overcome those enemies, right? Which are internal in nature. They can be more dangerous than the external ones and require us to look at them as, how can I prepare to go to the battlefield? But Louise, such a pleasure. For those of you who are here with us, if this is the first time that you're listening to a program, the psychology and spirituality. Oh, I can't talk today. The psychology and spirituality weekly talks. Please note they are all based on the works by Joanna De Angelis, and we hope that you could somehow get some of those concepts peppered in today and expand your own flavor of spirituality and psychology. And I want to thank you, Louise. My big hug to you now for being here with me. Thank,
Yeah.
thank you, all the sponsors, Mansão do Caminho, the United States Spirits Federation, the International Spiritist Council, and AMI Brazil. As you know, this is the Brazilian arm of the Medical Spiritist Association. We'll be back next week, everyone. Thank you and so long.
Thank you.